Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I make this motion to remove House Bill 1192 and the accompanying veto message from the table because it gives us an opportunity here today to do what is right for the people of Pennsylvania. Back on June 30th, the General Assembly sent the governor a balanced budget. 45 minutes later, the governor made an unprecedented decision to veto the entire budget. This decision to veto the entire budget, in my opinion, was an error in judgment. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this decision failed to recognize the consequences that would result from this decision. History will show that budget disagreements between the legislature and the executive are not uncommon. However, what has traditionally happened is the governor has used his authority to line item veto and blue line areas of the budget where we disagree, which allowed other funds to continue to flow to other areas of the budget to minimize the disruption to the Commonwealth and its citizens. Unfortunately, our governor decided to make a political statement and to veto the entire budget, and in turn, use people and service providers as an effort to win support for his entire budget. I cannot explain why the governor made this decision. Like all of us here today, we have our own opinions. But whatever that decision was, it was not a good decision. Let's look at where we are now. Again, I fully acknowledge that we continue to disagree on the issues of raising taxes and spending in certain areas of the budget. But House Bill 1192 contains over 270 line items that we had the same or even higher than what the governor proposed in his March budget proposal. Some of these line items that are the same or even more as what the governor proposed fund services for rape crisis and domestic violence centers, grants to students returning to college this week, and funds for our school districts to provide transportation so that a bus will show up for students across the Commonwealth who are waiting on the corner to go to their first day of school. Ladies and gentlemen, these funds did not have to be vetoed. The groups that would normally receive these funds need our help and are asking us today to help them. They have shared with us the negative impact that they have experienced from not having these funds. For example, Congresso is a nonprofit human service provider in the city of Philadelphia that provides education, health, and welfare services and crisis intervention to the Latino community. This organization is a model of efficient organization that provides tremendous value to the community that far exceeds the amount of money they receive from the state and federal government. Instead of encouraging this type of organization, the governor's veto and subsequent withholding of funds has paralyzed this organization and put them in a position to make drastic service reductions. Let me read from a letter they sent to the governor regarding the impact his veto is having on this organization. Due to the budget impasse and the indecisions in Harrisburg as of September 1st, 2015, Congresso must make these decisions. All employees will receive a 40% reduction in pay. Exempt staff will continue to work 5 days, and non-exempt staff will not work but 2 days a week, therefore grossly impacting their community. 330 children will not have access to an after-school program, causing an economic impact to their parents who rely on this program after-school activities. We will not be able to provide emergency relocation services to victims of domestic violence. 11 full-time employees will be furloughed without pay starting September 1st through October 31st. It is unacceptable that most vulnerable and those who serve the most vulnerable have to carry the burden of Harrisburg's indecisions. They write, "I implore you on behalf of the domestic violence victims who we cannot relocate, for the 330 children who will not have a safe after-school option, and for Congresso employees who live paycheck to paycheck, resolve this budget impasse and find a stopgap measure to support." We're giving them that opportunity today. It is unacceptable that organizations like Congresso across the Commonwealth are in similar situations. We've all heard of the United Way, and we've all heard from United Way on the impact of the budget impasse. They told us that a survey of their members found half of the respondents are experiencing cash flow problems. 23% of human service agencies have exhausted their funds. 60% plan to access lines of credit, adding additional unanticipated cost. 28% were curtailing services that include emergency food, safety for domestic victims, rental assistance, and many other critical human services. A United Way official said, and I quote, "Our elected officials really need to take action to assure funding for essential state-funded programs so that the providers and community organizations can address the basic needs of their constituents. The impasse is impeding their ability to supply vital services for those that need it the most." Ladies and gentlemen, today we have that opportunity to fix this error in judgment, to fix this problem. Honor our responsibility to support these organizations and provide the funding that is so important to these organizations while we continue to negotiate a budget. Social service organizations are not the only ones affected by this veto. School students across the Commonwealth that attend parochial schools receive state support for textbooks and materials. I have dozens of emails that have been sent to me over the last several days from families who have told me their children have started school and they do not have textbooks. The Pennsylvania School Board Association sent us all a letter this morning that says, with the fiscal stress increasing for school districts, with no state budget in place, short-term relief in the form of Title I, Title II, pupil transportation, school food services, as well as safe schools, will provide needed funding in a few key areas to assist schools as the current school year begins. These funds would help prevent many schools from having to incur additional unanticipated expenses as work continues on finding a state budget agreement. As we consider this motion, take a moment and realize the opportunity we have here. We have the opportunity to set aside politics and do what is right. I've talked to many of you. Why can't we agree on certain items? I've looked through these line items. We have agreed on the funding. Both the governor and us, we have agreed on these. The governor made a mistake. He vetoed the entire budget. I served under Governor Rendell. We did not agree on the total budget, but he did not do what this governor did. Now we can repair that, we can correct that, and continue to negotiate a budget. I ask you to support this motion to remove House Bill 1192 from the table so that we can correct the wrong that has been caused by this unnecessary full budget veto for certain funding line items while we continue to negotiate. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put caucus politics aside. Let's put politics aside. Let's do what the people of Pennsylvania have asked us to do. Represent them. We're talking about $3 billion today that we can get out to these agencies and these schools and take care of the most vulnerable people in Pennsylvania. Please, please think for yourselves and make this good vote. Thank you very much.